What's going on, folks? Zach from Matryoshka here. Hope you guys are doing good and reading lots of manga. Today, I am really excited to bring you my thoughts and reviews on a manga that I have been waiting quite literally since 2004, not only to own again, but to continue. And quite honestly, this manga in particular is my most anticipated manga of 2021. And the manga that we're going to talk about today is Taiyo Matsumoto's Number 5. But before we get into it, if you're new here, hello, my name is Zach. Welcome to Matryoshka. We do everything from manga hauls to manga reviews here on this channel. Sometimes we do a collection video, sometimes we animate manga panels, and if you like what you see and you like what you hear, I'll put a couple of buttons here that you should click and or smash, whichever you prefer. But without further ado, let's get into my thoughts and review on Taiyo Matsumoto's Number 5. Number 5 is set in a world that has become a very harsh desert that is inhabited by strange animal hybrids and sparse communities. Keeping the world at peace is the Rainbow Brigade, a group of superpowered global security guardians who find themselves in the midst of a geopolitical conflict when one of their own, Number 5, one of their most skilled snipers, goes missing with his mysterious companion, Matryoshka. The Rainbow Brigade throws the weight of their forces at subduing Number 5, even by sending fellow brigade members out to neutralize them. But as they quickly discover, Number 5 has no intention of coming home or going down without a fight, even at the expense of his former fellow comrades. Meanwhile, the public opinion of the Rainbow Brigade is starting to falter when the promise of getting Number 5 back within 1 week turns into a 5-month endeavor, leading its leader Number 1 to take Number 5's rebellion as a personal attack not only on himself, but on what the Rainbow Brigade stands for within modern society, also leaving him and the world wondering what exactly caused Number 5 to go rogue. So a little bit of history about Number 5, because you're probably wondering if this manga is coming out in 2021, how have I been waiting for it since 2004? Viz actually released Number 5 way back in 2002 and released the second volume the year after, and its sales were unfortunately abysmal. I mean, sold less than 1,000 copies between the both of them abysmal. I mean, sold so little that they canceled the series then and there abysmal. This was a few years after Tekkonkinkreet, back then known as Black and White, ran in Viz's now defunct Pulp magazine, and a few years after the 3 single volumes of Black and White were released to some success. Sadly, back then, that success was hard to replicate from Tekkonkinkreet to Number 5, with Number 5 being admittedly a little bit more abstract in both the art and storytelling in comparison to Tekkonkinkreet. While I've always been a manga and anime fan, I really got into manga in 2004 because I had my first job. I didn't really have anything to spend my money on other than snacks and school supplies, so whatever I had left over was always going into manga. Way back then, I had some of this manga. I had the first single volume of Tekkonkinkreet, and I had both copies of volume 1 and 2 of Number 5. Now I remember after school or after work going to my local comic shop, shout out to Blue Beetle Comics back from my hometown, and asking the clerk there every time I got the chance, hey, when's volume 3 of Number 5 coming out? When's volume 3 of Number 5 coming out? Only to eventually learn that it was canceled. And I'm really glad to see that Taiyo Matsumoto is getting this resurgence in popularity, especially since the Tekkonkinkreet movie, because it means I actually get to finish this manga. It means I get to see what happens after this pair of really creepy old psychic twins sets off to try and take out the world's greatest sniper. Since 2004, I have been wondering what comes next, and I finally, not this volume, but the next one, we'll get to find out what happens. Now, there is a lot to unpack in this manga, because in the 300 and some odd pages of this first omnibus, so much happens. So incredibly fast-paced, not just in the way the story progresses, but in the sheer amount of world building that happens on each page. And at times it does feel a little bit dizzying, because save for a flashback at the beginning of the manga where you see a little bit of the past of Number 5, we're immediately thrown into the story, and so much is already happening. And honestly, so much happens in this first omnibus that I genuinely don't know where this story could go. It feels like this story could easily be self-contained and finish at the end of this, but I know that there are at least 3 more omnibuses to come, and I have no idea what's coming next. Now, even up to the end of the first omnibus, it's not entirely clear why Number 5 has defected from the Rainbow Brigade. It's very clear that that is going to be the driving mystery behind this series. And it really makes you wonder what happened prior to the first chapter, because the Rainbow Brigade is presented in such a way in this manga that they are beloved and revered by everybody the world over. And Number 5, formerly being part of this organization that brings such joy to the world, it really makes you wonder what exactly happened to him to make him want to defect. Whether something happened within the Rainbow Brigade to make him want to run away, or whether he's just genuinely the bad guy. What was really interesting about this manga was seeing the role that this Rainbow Brigade plays in society. Because at first, it seems like they're the world's first line of defense in keeping the world safe and at peace. But as time goes on, you learn that they're actually kind of a propaganda machine for the public. There's even a scene where one of the brigade members is watching television and a commercial comes on for the Rainbow Brigade. It's kind of this 1970s Golden Guy style commercial. There's a jingle about each of the members, and they're all portrayed in this kind of cartoony superhero style. Now, part of how this realization plays into the manga really lends to Number 1's character arc, which is honestly one of my favorite parts of the manga. For example, there's a part where Number 1 is meeting with a member of the military who begins really questioning and laying into him about the Rainbow Brigade's ability to even bring in Number number 5. And number 1 is taking it more and more personally each time, even to the point where he begins to send other brigade members out to subdue number 5. And by the end of the first omnibus, number 5 has killed each of the 3 Rainbow Brigade members that were sent to kill him. Now, another mystery that barely gets touched upon is why number 5 is traveling with this mysterious Matryoshka character. She's very childlike and has a wonder about her where she's enamored by seemingly ordinary everyday things like dancing or animals. There is a scene later on where the character Papa point blank asks number 5, why did you leave with Matryoshka? It doesn't seem like a really good companion for someone who's running away from people trying to kill him. And he says something vague along the lines of, nobody picks a skinny turkey on purpose, which means absolutely nothing to me. It only adds more questions than answers. But it feels like it's a cultural saying, which itself doesn't really explain anything. And honestly, so much of number 5 is enveloped in all these little tiny mysteries that are gonna eventually lead to a big reveal, I imagine. But honestly, I think letting these little things be mysteries is what really lends to the world building in this manga. The various psychic powers of the Rainbow Brigade are never explained. And the random animal hybrids that are just all over the world are only touched upon briefly when Papa is showing number 1 his garden. And I think I've really come to enjoy that, not just about manga, but about storytelling in general. How not every little detail needs to be explained or spoon-fed to you. Sometimes these little details can just be. But one of the best moments in this manga that really lends to Taiyo Matsumoto's ability to engage you with just his characters was chapter 7. Number 6 is next up in the long line of Rainbow Brigade members who have been sent out to take care of number 5, and winds up in a remote village where he begins to bond with a woman and her son. After protecting the village from this power-drunk group of Minutemen, he realizes he can no longer stay in the village in order to keep it safe. It's a really emotional chapter that gives you 30 some odd pages to not only meet a character, but to immediately empathize with him, which just lends to Taiyo Matsumoto's ability to write just convincing and incredible characters. Now, the setup for the next part of the story sees these 2 mysterious psychic twins, number 4, as they're up next in line to take care of number 5. And not only do we get to witness the scale of their powers, we get to witness the way that they manipulate other people, such as number 1, which sets them up as this really menacing problem for number 5. And this is honestly where I left off way back in 2004. I don't know what comes next, so I'm really excited for Omnibus 2. Now, I put a tweet out about this, but I basically spent so much time just admiring not only the story, but each and every panel of this manga. Getting to re-experience number 5 for the first time was honestly a really interesting experience. Back when I was a teenager, it was just a really cool comic by a creator I really admired. Nowadays, I admire not just all of the intricacies of Taiyo Matsumoto's storytelling and art, but I had to sit there and just soak in every panel and every page. I spent the better part of a week, honestly, taking in this manga. But I felt like I was doing a disservice, not just to Taiyo Matsumoto, but to you guys as well, to not take in and soak up every part of this manga. What makes number 5 so interesting is how wildly different it is compared to other Taiyo Matsumoto manga. Now, touching on fantasy elements isn't exactly new to Taiyo Matsumoto's manga. For example, Tekkonkinkreet has kids who can fly and turn into minotaurs as an allegory for how one handles trauma, and Cats of the Louvre has a little kitten who can jump in and out of paintings. But while these fantastical elements exist, they never take focus. His stories are always rooted in some manner of realism. Number 5, however, is a stark opposite. It's set in a world that has become mostly desert and is run by superpowered military men, and revels in this rich, thoroughly developed sci-fi setting where things seem either vaguely familiar or completely abstract. And outside of the incredible world building and copious amounts of animal hybrids that nobody seems to mind exist, number 5 excels at giving us blood-pumping moments amidst moments of tranquility. A really good example of this is a scene I found really impactful because of the way Taiyo Matsumoto made use of negative space. One of the late number 8's men, Dominique, is out in the jungle hunting for number 5. Number 5 eventually gets the up on Dominique, and when he aims his gun and fires at him, the flash from the muzzle lightens the mostly black panel in a really brilliant way. And there are so many of these action scenes as brief as they seem, even to the point where there is someone who's parachuting out of an airplane, and they're parachuting on a horse, and the horse has parachutes. Mwah! World building. But the best part about the art in number 5 is that you really get to see where Taiyo Matsumoto's creative inspiration comes from. Most obviously, the BD artist Mobius. And there's a certain charm about number 5 you won't find in other Taiyo Matsumoto manga, because it feels like this is a manga where Taiyo Matsumoto just got to have as much fun as humanly possible. He took all of his inspiration, poured it into one manga, and you can really tell he just had a lot of fun drawing it. And when creators like Taiyo Matsumoto get to throw the weight of their creativity into a work like number 5, it makes for an incredibly enjoyable reading experience. Number 5 by Taiyo Matsumoto is available in print and digital from Viz Media, and is available wherever you can buy book and comics, as well as various online retailers. If you're curious where you can check out number 5, I'll link some links in the description below. But hey, thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed this review and enjoyed this video, or picked up number 5 because of either this video or because you're a fan of Taiyo Matsumoto, let me know in the comments below, or either on Instagram or Twitter @HUShelf. And for the normal YouTube spiel, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Your support means a heck of a lot to me, gives me the motivation to make you guys more manga-related content like this and more. And as always, don't forget to support legal manga. Go to www.wherecanireadmanga.com to get the lowdown on where you, the viewer at home, can read manga for free through a subscription or per volume, and do it all in a way that supports the manga industry, supports the creators, the people that work in it, and gets us more manga like this stuff right here. But until next time, folks, happy reading.
Outro. This is an outro. Yeah. You're free to go now. Seriously, leave. I mean, why are you sitting here, man? Get out of here, man. Go. Come on. Leave. Goodbye.